The stars stretched across the dark sky like scattered diamonds, silent witnesses to the centuries of space that had passed. Among these endless lights floated a forgotten star system, a place that once bore the laughter, courage, and ambition of humans. Now the planets and moons drifted quietly, their surfaces scarred by ancient battles and slow erosion, untouched by the hands of life for generations, drifting slowly among the asteroids and cosmic debris was a fleet of old human starships. They were massive, majestic, and yet decaying holes covered in cosmic dust, their once bright metal dulled by centuries of neglect. These vessels, built in the age when humans ruled the stars with daring exploration and unshakable courage, had been abandoned long ago. And yet there was something unusual about them. Even in their silence, they seemed to wait, as if aware that one day, someone or something would come to awaken them. On the nearby asteroid station, a group of alien explorers prepared their mission. They were from the Valorians, a species of scholars and adventurers who spent their lives studying the relics of extinct civilizations. Tall and slender, with eyes that reflected the pale light of distant suns, they moved carefully among the data screens and equipment, whispering to one another in a language of clicks and hums. "This system holds the greatest human fleet ever built," said the lead explorer, whose name was Terrell. His voice was low but firm, filled with the excitement of discovery. If the legends are true, these ships were unmatched in speed, technology, and design. Many believed humans were clever, even reckless. Now we will see for ourselves. The Valorians' small scout ships glided silently toward the largest vessel in the fleet. It was a mighty ship called the Eternal Dawn, with a hull nearly a kilometer long. Its shape was elegant, yet functional. It's built for long journeys through the stars and to survive battles against other starfaring species. Despite the corrosion and layers of dust, its outline spoke of a time when humans built machines that reflected both strength and beauty. Terrell's crew began the process of boarding. They used magnetic grapplers to attach their ships to the Eternal Dawn, and one by one, they descended into the dark corridors. The interior was cold and still, yet every step echoed with a strange resonance, almost like the ship itself was listening. Walls that had once vibrated with activity were silent, but the alien explorers could feel the lingering presence of its creators as they moved deeper into the ship. The explorers found the bridge. It was massive, filled with screens and panels that were now dark, their lights long since extinguished. Yet, when Terrell pressed his hand against one of the control panels, a spark of energy flared briefly, causing a holographic map to shimmer into existence. Lines of stars and planetary systems glowed in soft blue light. "It is alive," Terrell whispered, a mixture of awe and disbelief in his voice. "Even after centuries, this human technology is not completely dead. It remembers." Suddenly, from deep within the ship, a soft hum began. It started faintly, like a distant heartbeat, then grew steadily louder. The Valorians froze, exchanging nervous glances. Machines that had not moved for hundreds of years were powering up without warning. Lights flickered across the walls, and small drones inside the corridors stirred to life. Floating gently as if waking from a long sleep, Terrell's heart raced. He had heard stories of human ingenuity, but this was beyond anything the legends had described. The ship's AI, or whatever systems controlled, it was activating itself, responding to their presence in ways no alien intelligence had ever seen in the deeper decks. The Valorians discovered a chamber containing rows of stasis pods. Some were empty, their occupants long gone, but one pod glimmered with a faint blue light. Inside lay a human pilot, preserved perfectly, her chest rising and falling in the slow rhythm of suspended animation. The explorers had expected technology, not life. Terrell stepped closer, staring at her. "She survived," he whispered. "After all this time, she survived." He activated the pod carefully. Soft hissing filled the chamber as the stasis field dissolved. The pilot's eyes opened slowly, revealing sharp, intelligent brown eyes. She looked around, confusion and awareness blending on her face, then focused on the humans around her. Despite centuries in stasis, she radiated a presence that was unmistakably human strong, determined and fearless. "My ship," she said softly, her voice steady even after the long slumber. "Where am I?" Tyrell, unsure how to respond, gestured to the vast, empty corridors of the eternal dawn. "You are. In your fleet, the human ships. They are still here, waiting." The pilot's gaze traveled across the vast interior, then landed on the controls. Without hesitation, her hands moved instinctively, pressing buttons and activating panels. The ships hummed in response. Systems long thought dead roared to life, energy flowing through engines and shields. Lights spreading across the fleet like a river of stars awakening from the dark. The Valorians watched in stunned silence. They had prepared for relics of history, technology frozen in time, but they had never imagined the human mind itself could reawaken this fleet. This is impossible," muttered one of the younger explorers. "No species could survive like this." After centuries in stasis, the pilot turned to him, a small smile on her lips. "Humans were built to endure," she said simply. "We survive, and we adapt." For the next several hours, the Valorians followed as she walked through the ship, inspecting engines, navigation systems, and weapon controls. Every step she took seemed to bring the ship to life. Lights reflected off polished panels, drones returned to their patrols, and holographic logs flickered to life, telling stories of past missions, battles, and explorations. Among these logs were tales of human courage that made the alien explorers gasp. One story detailed a long-range mission where a single human crew had navigated through a deadly asteroid belt, saving an entire colony from destruction. Another told of humans engaging in battles against enemies many times their size and strength, yet using strategy, wit, and sheer determination to win. Tyrell and his team realized something extraordinary. These ships were more than machines. They carried the essence of their creators. Every panel, every engine, every line of code reflected human ingenuity, daring, and spirit. It was as if the ships themselves remembered the glory of the past and longed to return to the stars. The pilot finally paused at the observation deck. Looking out at the black expanse of space, the other ships of the fleet floated silently nearby, shadows of their former selves, yet full of untapped potential. "We have work to do," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "The galaxy does not wait for those who rest. These ships, our ships, still have a purpose." The Valorians watched, captivated. They had come expecting to study the relics of a lost civilization. But instead they witnessed the rebirth of human determination. It was a quiet, unstoppable force, one that seemed to flow from the pilot and into the fleet itself. The eternal dawn, once silent and forgotten, now pulsed with life, ready to carry its stories once more across the vast, empty tides of space, as the stars twinkled endlessly outside the observation window. A subtle hum spread through the fleet, a heartbeat of courage and hope, echoing across centuries. Humanity, it seemed, had left a mark so deep that even the silence of space could not erase it. And far in the distance, beyond the reach of their sensors, other ancient ships began to stir, sensing the awakening. The echoes of glory that humans had carried into the stars so long ago were returning, and nothing, not even the void itself, could stop them. The galaxy stretched endlessly, a silent ocean of stars. In the midst of this vast emptiness, the ancient human fleet moved steadily, their engines glowing softly against the darkness. Captain Alara stood on the bridge of the eternal dawn, her eyes scanning the distant horizon. A new threat had emerged, an enormous alien armada, larger and more powerful than any they had faced before. Its ships were massive, bristling with weapons that glowed like fiery suns, and their formation was calculated, precise, and intimidating. Elira's hand rested lightly on the control panel, her mind already racing with strategies. "This will be our greatest test," she said softly. "We cannot rely on strength alone. We must use everything humans have ever learned: courage, ingenuity, and adaptability." The Valorians, still awed by the fleet's previous victories, gathered around her. Captain Tyrell said, "The alien fleet has superior firepower. Our scanners show that if they hit the fleet at once, the ships will be destroyed. How can we survive?" Elar's eyes met his, calm and determined. We survive because humans think differently, do not just respond. We anticipate. We adapt. Most importantly, we never give up, even when the odds seem impossible. As the alien armada closed in, the human fleet shifted formation. The ships, old yet magnificent, moved with a coordination that was almost alive. Engines pulsed, shields shimmered, and weapon systems came online. Every ship seemed to respond, instinctively, to Alara's commands, as if her mind flowed into theirs. The first volley came without warning. Alien weapons fired bright energy beams, slicing across space toward the fleet. Alarms blared, and bright flashes illuminated the dark void. But the human ships moved with extraordinary precision. They dodged, weaved, and countered, using maneuvers that no alien sensors could calculate. Ilara smiled faintly. Predictability is their weakness, she said. Humans are anything but predictable. The battle raged for hours. Alien cruisers attempted to encircle the human ships, forcing them into tight positions. Yet every time, the enemy thought they had the advantage. The human fleet surprised them. Ships split into smaller units, attacked from unexpected angles, and used the shadows of distant asteroids as cover. They even used gravity fields of nearby planets to swing around and strike alien ships from behind, a tactic that no alien commander had considered. Terrell watched in disbelief. Their strategy is not calculated by computers alone. It is instinct. They are using intuition, courage, and creativity. No alien fleet has ever fought like this. Alara's attention never wavered. She directed smaller ships to act as decoys, luring alien fighters into traps, while the larger vessels prepared concentrated strikes. One by one, the alien ships began to falter, their formations breaking under the relentless unpredictability of the human tactics. In the midst of the chaos, a small human ship took heavy damage. Smoke poured from its hull, and warning lights flashed. Yet instead of retreating, the crew used the ship's damage as a weapon. The fire and debris created a moving obstacle for the enemy, causing confusion and opening a path for a counterattack. Ilara noticed the maneuver and nodded approvingly. Even in damage, humans turn disadvantage into opportunity. That is our greatest strength. The alien armada responded with fury, sending massive energy beams toward the fleet. A direct hit struck the Eternal Dawn, shaking the ship violently. The hull groaned and sparks flew across the bridge. Yet Alara remained calm, her hands guiding the controls with practiced precision. Shields at maximum, she commanded. Fire all remaining cannons in sequence. Target their engines first. We cannot let them escape. The fleet obeyed instinctively. The human ships fired coordinated volleys, striking alien engines and shields with pinpoint accuracy, one after another. The enemy ships were crippled, forced to retreat or be destroyed. Amid the battle, another stasis ship arrived from the nearby star system, carrying more human pilots awakened for the fight. They joined the fleet seamlessly, displaying the same strategic brilliance as Alara. The odds began to shift dramatically. The alien armada, confident in their superior numbers and weapons, now faced the cunning and adaptability of human minds. Alara's voice echoed across the fleet. Remember, this is not just about weapons. It is about thinking differently, moving creatively, and never giving up. Humans fight not only with strength, but with courage and imagination. The Valorians watched in amazement. They had expected a fleet of old ships, perhaps capable of defensive maneuvers, but what they saw was far more. Humans led these ancient vessels as if they were extensions of their own minds. Every action reflected not just training, but instinct, intuition, and a deep understanding of the universe itself. Hours passed, and the alien armada began to break apart. Their ships, once confident and orderly, now scattered under the relentless assault of human ingenuity. One by one, alien vessels were disabled or forced to flee, leaving behind a field of wreckage that glimmered like dark stars. Against the blackness of space, Eller allowed herself a moment of relief. The human fleet had survived, and the alien threat was retreating. Yet she knew the galaxy was far from safe. New dangers could appear at any time, and the human fleet, though extraordinary, would always face challenges. Tyrell approached her, still awestruck. "Captain, your tactics, your leadership, it is unlike anything I have ever seen. The fleet fought as if it were alive. And you guided them with a precision no computer could match." Lara's expression softened. "It is not me alone. It is the spirit of humanity. These ships, these crews, even the decisions we make, they are all part of something greater. Humans have always found ways to survive, to adapt, to overcome. That is why these ships are still here, and why our echoes will continue across time." The Valorians nodded, understanding at last what they had witnessed. It was more than technology or strategy. It was the essence of humanity itself, courage, creativity, and determination that no machine, no algorithm, no enemy could ever destroy. In the quiet aftermath, the fleet gathered near a distant planet to regroup. Pairs were made, systems checked, and supplies distributed. Despite the victory, there was no celebration. Humans, even after centuries, did not rest on their success. They prepared for the next challenge, always aware that the galaxy held more mysteries, dangers, and opportunities than any one species could conquer alone. Ilara stood on the observation deck looking out at the stars. The wreckage of the alien armada floated silently, a reminder of the power of human ingenuity. She thought of the generations of humans who had come before pilots, engineers, thinkers, and dreamers, and how their legacy had endured across centuries. "They will remember us," she said quietly, more to herself than anyone else. "Not because we fought with machines alone, but because we dared to think, to act, and to face the impossible. That is what it means to be human." Terrell and the Valorians joined her, watching in respectful silence. They had studied humans for generations, admired them from afar, but now they understood fully. Humanity was more than cleverness or strength. It was an unstoppable spirit, a force that could rise again and again, leaving echoes of glory across the stars. As the fleet moved onward, the distant stars seemed to shine brighter. Ships once abandoned, forgotten, and silent now pulsed with life and energy. Each vessel carried stories of courage, wisdom, and determination. Together, they were not merely relics of the past, they were a testament to what humans could achieve. A living legacy that would continue to travel across the galaxy for centuries to come. Ilara felt a sense of calm determination. The galaxy was vast, the challenges endless, but she knew that humans would face them with the same courage that had defined their species for centuries. The fleet was no longer just a collection of old. Shipset was a symbol of human potential, a reminder that even in silence and darkness, humans could shine brighter than the stars themselves. And far beyond the edge of known space, other ancient human vessels began to stir. The echoes of human glory, long thought lost, were spreading across the universe. They moved silently, guided by instinct, courage, and the knowledge that humanity had never truly been defeated. The galaxy would never forget the sound of that heartbeat, the living echo of human spirit. Strong enough to endure across time itself, the stars stretched on, endless and unchanging. And yet, among them, the human fleet glided with purpose, carrying stories of bravery, wisdom, and hope. Wherever they went, the echoes of humanity's courage followed. A force that could not be ignored, a light that could not be extinguished, and a legacy that would continue forever. Humanity had returned to the stars, not as conquerors, but as creators, thinkers, and warriors. Their echoes of glory, born in the past, now reached across the silent tides of space, a timeless reminder that even in the darkest void, courage, ingenuity, and spirit could shine brighter than any star. The fleet of ancient human starships moved quietly through the dark expanse, their engines humming with life after centuries of silence. The pilot, whom the Valorians now called Captain Ilara, guided them with ease, her hands moving instinctively over controls she had not touched in hundreds of years. The ships responded as if recognizing their rightful leader, gliding like shadows through the void. Their long-forgotten systems now vibrant with energy, Ilara stood on the bridge of the eternal dawn, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. "We must be cautious," she said softly. Not everything in this galaxy welcomes humans or the power we carry. Terrell, the lead Valorian explorer, leaned close. Captain, there are reports of a hostile fleet nearby. They are far more advanced than anything in this system. They have already destroyed smaller settlements. We need to be careful. Ilara nodded. Careful, yes, but we cannot hide. If humans built these ships to explore the stars, then hiding has never been part of our plan. Let's see what we can do. The alien fleet appeared suddenly on the edge of the sensor grid. Sleek and sharp, their hulls gleamed under the distant starlight. They were enormous in size and heavily armed. The Valorians gasped. These ships were built for power, capable of overwhelming the ancient human relics with sheer force. But the pilot's calm confidence seemed to steady them. They underestimate humans, Ilara said quietly. They think old ships cannot fight. They will learn otherwise. The first encounter happened quickly. Alien fighters darted forward like hunting sharks, weapons flaring across the darkness. The ancient human ships moved with unexpected speed and precision. Engines roared as the fleet shifted formation. A graceful yet deadly dance that seemed impossible for vessels so old. Ilara's instincts guided the fleet perfectly. She remembered old strategies humans used long ago, not from manuals, but from intuition. Patterns of movement, angles of attack, and defensive maneuvers flowed naturally. She turned the Eternal Dawn sharply, dodging a volley of plasma shots. While smaller vessels flanked the attackers, Tar-El and the other Valorians watched in awe. How is this possible? One whispered, "These ships are ancient. They should be slow, weak, and obsolete. Yet they fight like living warriors." Ilara smiled faintly. Humans do not rely on machines alone. We think, we adapt, and we use everything at our disposal. The ships are tools, but our minds are the real weapons. The battle escalated. Alien cruisers attempted to trap the fleet in a deadly crossfire. Yet every time they tried, the human ships seemed to anticipate their moves. Engines flared and weapons discharged in a sequence so precise it looked like a choreographed performance. The Valorians realized that this was more than tactics. It was instinct. The human pilot had become the fleet's heart, and the ships moved as extensions of her mind. In the middle of the skirmish, one of the Valorian scientists shouted, "They are attacking in patterns we cannot predict. Our scanners cannot calculate their strategy. It is unpredictable." Ilara glanced at the display. Good. Unpredictability is the oldest trick humans have. If they think they can fight using only algorithms and brute strength, they are mistaken. We fight with creativity, courage, and adaptation. Watch closely. Humans always find a way. Sudden explosion rocked the fleet. One of the smaller human ships, long thought fragile, had been struck. Fire spread across its hull, and alarms blared. Yet the crew, following Ilara's commands, used the damage as an advantage. The ship's smoke and flames created a distraction, drawing enemy fire away from the larger vessels. Then, using a clever maneuver, it swept behind the alien ships and fired a concentrated blast. Disabling their shields, Tar-El gasped. "I've never seen anything like this." They turned disaster into victory in a matter of minutes. Ilara's eyes were calm, but her mind was sharp, calculating every possibility. Victory is not about strength alone. It is about using every moment to your advantage. Even a damaged ship can be a weapon if your mind stays sharp and your will is strong. The battle continued for hours. The ancient fleet, led by a single human, moved with a precision and adaptability that no alien technology could match. They avoided traps, countered every attack, and used the environment, the shadows of asteroid fields, the gravity of nearby planets, to gain the upper hand. Terrell and his team began to understand something extraordinary. These ships were not just vessels of metal and circuits. They were carriers of human ingenuity. Every system, every engine, every weapon had been designed to allow for creativity and independent thought. The humans who built these ships had anticipated challenges far beyond their own time, trusting that future humans or someone with their spirit would unlock their potential. During a brief pause in the battle, Ilara gathered her fleet for coordination. "Listen," she said, addressing both humans and Valorians. "This is not just a fight. This is a test of what humans can do. These ships are old, but our strategies are timeless. We adapt, we endure, and we act with courage. Remember that." The Valorians nodded, inspired by her words. They had studied humans for generations, admired their bravery and creativity, but witnessing it firsthand was unlike anything they had imagined. Even the most advanced alien technology seemed secondary to the power of human instinct and teamwork, as the fleet prepared to engage the enemy again. A distant signal appeared on their sensors. Another human ship, previously lost in a nearby star system, had detected the battle. Its engines flared as it moved to join the fleet. Ilara's eyes lit up. Reinforcements. It seems humanity has not forgotten us, even in the stars. The second human ship brought a new dynamic to the fight. Its pilots, also revived from stasis, displayed the same tactical brilliance, coordinating maneuvers that multiplied the fleet's effectiveness. Alien ships that had seemed unstoppable now faced a challenge they could not predict or counter. Ilara's strategy combined classic human ingenuity with lessons learned from experience. She split the fleet into small, flexible units that could attack from multiple angles. Using feints and sudden bursts of speed to confuse the enemy, she allowed her ships to take calculated risks. Knowing that human intuition often succeeded where logic alone failed, the alien fleet struggled to respond. Their algorithms and advanced systems could not adapt to the unpredictable tactics of human minds. Every time they tried to trap the human ships, the pilots found a new way to escape and strike back. They fought not just with weapons, but with cleverness, creativity, and courage, the hallmarks of humanity. Hours passed, yet the human fleet remained undefeated. The alien ships began to retreat. Recognizing that their superior firepower was useless against unpredictability and ingenuity, Ilara's eyes followed their departure, her calm demeanor hiding the relief she felt. Terrell and the Valorians gathered around her, still amazed. Captain Terrell said, "These ships, these humans, it is more than technology. It is something alive, something impossible to measure." "How do you do this?" Ilara smiled faintly. "It is not just the ships. It is the mind that guides them. Humans are built to survive, to adapt, and to find hope even in the darkest moments. Technology can fail. Ships can age. But courage, creativity, and willpower, these never die." As the stars stretched endlessly beyond the fleet, Ilara guided her ships through the quiet aftermath of battle. The alien fleet had retreated, but the galaxy was far from safe. New threats could appear at any time. Yet she felt a deep confidence. Humans had once ruled the stars, and now, even centuries later, their legacy remained alive not just in machines, but in the spirit that had created them. The Valorians looked at her with awe, realizing that they had witnessed more than a battle. They had seen the proof that humans were extraordinary, not because of technology or numbers, but because of courage, ingenuity, and the ability to rise above impossible odds. Ilara looked at the stars again. "The galaxy is vast," she said softly, "and danger is everywhere. But wherever humans go, we carry our spirit with us. These ships are our legacy, and one day, the echoes of our courage will reach the farthest corners of the universe." For now, the fleet drifted among the silent stars, their engines pulsing softly like the heartbeat of an ancient civilization reborn. And though the battle was over, the journey had just begun. The echoes of human glory were not finished. They had only begun to travel across the void, waiting for the next challenge, the next adventure, the next opportunity to prove that humans, even after centuries, were still a force that no enemy could ignore.